Well, they announced too that PS5 is gonna have a dick hole. Because they want to really encompass the all in everything console. You know, it's gonna have TV, it's gonna have all the subscriptions, right? It's gonna have video games. It's gonna have VR. It's gonna have a dick hole.
Are they gonna partner up with Fleshlight?
With Fleshlight and Pornhub. Well, that
Yeah.
one Japanese dude's already married his like anime wife or whatever.
Waifu.
Yeah, he married his waifu. Imagine that. Like, oh hey, you're pretty cute. Sorry,
When
my
video
wife's at
gaming
home.
goes too far.
Actually, my wife's in my phone. Do you want to see her? Hello and welcome to another Mikereative Cast episode, where we talk about films, TV, and video games and everything in between. It's just some of the passions that we have and some of the things that we like to discuss. Welcome everyone. Today's topic is: when does gaming become too much gaming?
When?
So, before we get to that, we have a few articles that we want to just go over. How many do we have today, guys?
4?
6? 5?
It's up in the air.
Don't know yet.
Quote of the day: it is important to draw wisdom from different places. If you take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Beer of the day. Javi, take it away.
Beer of the day comes from Four Sons Brewing here in, I believe it's Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, California. It was a gift, and they didn't write what kind of beer it is, aside from, or the name of the beer, but it's a wheat lager. And it is a 4.5. 4.5, guys. Cheers.
So, Four Sons Wheat Lager.
Four Sons Wheat Lager.
4.5.
Yep. No name. Nameless.
Nameless.
Okay.
Very much a lager. Very, very, very light.
Woo! I'm going to enjoy this one. I'm not a lager fan.
Me neither.
I'm not never mind.
The good thing I like about it is that it doesn't have that normal lager taste, the aftertaste.
Yeah.
So I'm
Almost
okay
like
with
sticky
it. Yeah, this
aftertaste.
one almost has like a creamy aftertaste, doesn't it? I feel like there's like a creamy aftertaste. It's very mild. It's almost like
nitro kind of aftertaste.
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah.
It's softer
Mhm.
at the end. Some housekeeping. If you enjoy watching or making fun of our videos, consider telling your friends to subscribe. Get them to support because we would like more subscribers, obviously.
more.
We would like more. Handles. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter. We are also on SoundCloud. So let's get to the articles. Let's get straight to it.
Cool.
All right. First one. How do you want to set this one up? I feel like this one is that we are most excited about.
Definitely. So live action Avatar. The news just came out. I believe the article was from IGN.
IO9.
IO9.
Yes.
IO9.
Yes.
And so I guess the creators and who is it? Netflix are partnering up to make a live action Avatar series.
Yeah. So the Dragon Prince, which is from the showrunners of Avatar: The Last Airbender, that just dropped last week, right? The Dragon Prince. So that's their own take on a whole new story and everything. And when they announced that, or when they released, they cleverly kind of tweeted out this little live action concept art picture of Aang and Appa.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm definitely excited for it. Yeah,
Definitely.
you haven't watched the series, right?
No, I've not watched the series.
I think
I heard it's really good, but I've not actually watched the series.
it's really good. I don't know what like the length of time it was. How long are the seasons on average?
There's 3 books, all about 24 episodes, and then each episode's about 20 minutes.
I need to rewatch it for sure. It's so good. If you're down, I'll start it with you because it's good. You'll like it. I think you really like it.
I don't even know where we
I have it on Blu-ray.
We have it on Blu-ray.
I got it on
All right,
DVD
sold.
too.
Yeah.
Cool.
It says, we're thrilled for the opportunity to helm this live-action adaptation of Avatar The Last Airbender. We can't wait to realize Aang's world as cinematically as we always imagined it to be, and with a culturally appropriate, non-whitewashed cast, which is something that they're
cool.
kind of not bashing, but they're pretty much upfront saying this is not going to be 2010's Night Shyamalan. Sorry, Night Shyamalan. Sorry, yeah, thank you. Night Shyamalan's Avatar, adaptation, because that whole cast was all whitewashed kind of cast,
I don't think I've ever seen that one either.
That's good. You don't need to.
Yeah, don't watch
Is
it.
it equivalent to the whole Dragon Ball Z one that they came out with?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just staying far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never watched that one either.
Very equivalent to that one too. And Article 2, we're going to speak on the first look at Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. It was released on Twitter with a nice little photo just stating Arthur. It looks like he has some long hair. It's not green. Green jacket, no purple. No face paint, no crazy look. Just a simple looking Joaquin Phoenix. The article I found is from the avclub.com, and it says, think back to April of 2015 when Suicide Squad director David Ayer first revealed that Jared Leto's Joker would look like. Remember the abundance of ha-ha-ha tattoos, the one purple glove, the silver teeth, the word damage stamped on his forehead? Well, prepare to meet the exact opposite of that image. I just really liked that beginning segment of the article, and I was like, dude, this is something I totally want to bring up. Yeah. And you look at him, and we'll throw a picture up on the screen for you guys. It's just simple Arthur, and I think it's something that I can't even say if I like it or not, because there's really nothing that I can say. I know you were saying that you were like, I don't know if I like this already, and then you were saying this is exciting.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think it's the fact that you don't know what it's really going to turn into.
I'm on the I don't like it side. I think it's too.
Why is that?
It's too held back. I feel like I guess it's his origin story, so that makes sense. They're gonna start off with who he was before he becomes this crazy character. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
I think it's exciting to see the development. You see this kind of just but if you look at his character, he doesn't look happy or crazy. He looks super sad.
Yeah,
he looks super he looks super are they middle class, lower mid class type person.
The article goes into saying that he comes back to Gotham to help his ailing mother.
No, I mean he doesn't look intimidating at the same time to me.
Right, it is. And
it isn't in he's a creep type of way, but
for me, I think he it's gonna be a big factor whether they start off the story as that character and then progressing through the story, or they're gonna just show the Joker and then have him do a couple scenes where he's doing something crazy, and then they kind of flash back to that.
I want to see it start off that way.
You want to see it? Which one? The first one?
How
start off like that, and then they progress all the way to the end
until all of a sudden, at the end is when you start seeing the makeup, just so you can see the development and how he starts to become crazy, the little tics that he would do or things that he would kind of say or communicate, and what he really goes through. I think it's going to be fun just to watch that. And I'm more of kind of a story person, so I want to see the developmental side of it.
True.
To me, the first season of Daredevil, Netflix Daredevil?
Yeah.
Right? And how the villain, you almost sympathize with them or him.
Yeah.
Right? The Kingpin.
Yeah.
So you almost kind of you're like, oh gosh, I kind of understand what he's doing this for. Mm-hmm. It's wrong still, but I understand it. That's, I hope, is what they take. They start him off kind of ragged, and you feel bad for him, you kind of sympathize for him, so that when he starts to do the bad things, you kind of maybe understand a little bit why he's going through what he's going through, or at least why he chose to take that route.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Until he does something like so crazy that you're like, yes, that's the Joker, and that's who I don't like. You know, like that's someone I can't get behind, but it's like, yeah, it's the Joker. You know, but I like to see that progression where you kind of almost sympathize with them.
What I have a feeling that he's going back, because you said he was supposed to be like going back to help his alien mother who's dying, whatever.
Yeah.
What I have a feeling he's gonna kill his mom.
Oh.
And then that's when he's gonna. That's when he's gonna snap. He's gonna
yeah.
snap, and then that's when he's gonna start doing some crazy shit.
Maybe his mom's not really like a great mom.
Yeah, maybe he had a
she's,
bad
mentally
upbringing, but now
and-
he's like, oh, I gotta help my mom. Like, she's still my mom, but then eventually he goes, yeah, but I fucking hated her. So
It's happened.
Or
It happened.
she did something that was just over the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because you can have those montages where it's just like, he's like, don't forget the eggs, you fucking forgot them, or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Or it's like a montage of just little things that just like piss him off until he's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. He falls into a vat of shit and then is like, well, I've changed, I'm the Joker now, and then he goes and kills his mom.
We'll see. I
And they're like, Arthur, no, Arthur. I'm not Arthur anymore.
I'm just excited to see Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
excited
not
to
Arthur
see it.
anymore. And then Arthur hand meme, Arthur fist meme.
And then he's going to write damaged on his face.
Yeah. And then he's gonna start getting plastic surgery to look like Jared Leto, and then it's gonna go back to Jared Leto.
All right, next article. Congrats to the HBO Emmy winners. Henry Winkler, supporting actor for Barry. Bill Hader, lead actor in Barry. Thandi Newton, supporting actress in Westworld. John Oliver, variety talk show series for the last week tonight. Peter Dinklage, best supporting actor in a drama series in Game of Thrones. And best drama series, Game of Thrones. Speaking of Game of Thrones, this article is coming from Denandia.com. They said that they revealed why the final season is taking so long to air. And Benioff actually says, because it's the biggest thing that we've ever done. Even though it's 6 episodes, guys, it took us a full year of either prepping it or shooting it. It's quite extraordinary what this crew and cast have created. When people see it, they're going to understand why it took so long. Nobody has gone on vacation. The last season is far beyond of what all we have attempted before. I hope it will be worth it. It's pretty exciting, you know. Congrats to Peter Dinklage. Yeah, Peter Dinklage, because he's obviously amazing as Tyrion.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really taking it that step up. I mean, he's really saying like, hey, it took. Usually shooting only takes, like, just so you guys know, in case you don't, shooting usually takes like 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, but for a full year.
But for a full year of prepping and shooting, I mean, that's like on the level of Lord of the Rings, because shooting was, for all 3 of those movies, it was like a year and a half or something.
Oh, wow.
And then what they ended up doing was just releasing Fellowship, 2 years to then do the next one, then the next 2 years to do that other
That
one.
has to be nice though, because
That
it's like
is nice.
Yeah, I think that's really nice because you put in all that work, then you just watch it come out years later. You don't have to worry about not having another contract that you can't sign, another movie that you can't do, because all that is already done within that year and a half, 2 years, depending.
Yes and no, because like when Two Towers, let's say before Two Towers comes out, Fellowship's already out, right? And then they immediately start working on Two Towers and working on all the CGI and all that crap, right? Well, if they ever need those pickups or those extra scenes that they're like, oh, we need something here, we need Legolas looking that way, then they have to call Orlando Bloom back in and be like, okay, we're gonna put you in costume, get you all ready to go, get you right in here, we're gonna and have you look that way. You know what I mean? So it's those like pickup shoots. Yeah. To like really pick up, but those are just really just little chunks. Yeah. Out of the year.
But I mean, like if you took like 2-3 days to go like fly out to the middle of nowhere, Middle Earth, and then do like 1-2 scenes, 3 scenes, maybe an extra 4 scenes just in case they need extra footage, they're gonna probably take care of all of that all at once. Yeah. I'm still like totally for that. I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. So it's pretty awesome that they well, not that they're doing that and they're not adapting that, but they just did shoot. Yeah, they did shoot for, a full year, which is a crazy amount of footage, especially if it's only 6 episodes. I would like to think that those are like an hour and a half, 2 hour long episodes.
I'm hoping it's
hope
the
so.
actual like. Well, I feel like we read an article before that says it's going to be a little bit more extensive.
Well, I mean, there have been
episodes, or there
They said
have
that
been
about last season though too. That
Yeah.
the episodes are going to be longer, and they were for the most part.
Yeah.
But I mean, to shoot for a full year, I'm hoping they actually have enough to. I mean, it's only 6 episodes, so how much can you really fit in 6 episodes? I feel like there's so much that can happen that 6 episodes seems really scarce in terms of just trying to get everything all together. So I'm hoping for like little kind of short movie type things, like an hour and 15.
Oh no, I feel like it's
hour
definitely
and
gonna
a
be an hour
half,
and a half
you know.
movie because like almost every like premiere episode for the season, every season premiere was like an hour and a half long.
Yeah, it's a little longer than the normal episode.
So I feel like if they're gonna do every single one of these, I'm assuming they're probably gonna do like an hour and a half for every episode. But wouldn't it be nice to have 2-hour episodes? It's like watch a movie every single night.
Yeah, watch a movie every Sunday.
I don't think they can actually pull off 12 hours of footage in a year. Do you think?
Yeah, they can. They
In a
definitely
year?
can. Of course they can.
I think so.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, this is the last
I
season.
mean, they did.
It's
They
a-
did
it's a-
10 hours of footage. Now they're
That's
only
true.
gonna do. Now they're gonna do 2 more hours. Only it's gonna be
They did
divided.
10 hours of footage in like 6 months for
Yeah.
like the first few seasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
I mean, yeah,
'Cause their shooting times are normally like around 6 months of
Yeah.
shooting.
And I feel like a lot of the stuff that they're gonna be showing in the last season, it's gonna be a lot more CGI. Because it's gonna be big old battles. It's gonna be
And that's probably
Like-
what they're prepping. They're honestly probably just prepping like, okay, here's what our camera angle is going to be for this shot. They probably like storyboarded the whole thing because all that CGI intensiveness needs to be pre-visualized, right? It needs to be set up so that way we know exactly where that camera is going to be when we shoot, so we're not wasting time or we're not ending up shooting something and being like, oh fuck, we were supposed to be on the other side.
Yeah. Which is
that's probably what they're
jinxed
prepping.
Minnesota. No,
He jinxed me.
I jinxed him.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm hoping they do that because 12 hours of actual like airtime
Give
would
and
be
take, yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. And I mean, even if they do an hour and a half every episode, and then they do like a 2-hour season finale, that would be beautiful.
I think so too. I agree.
Because I feel like they have to put in so much time. It's not even a season finale, a series finale. We're expecting the last episode, which I'm kind of sad about. Not gonna lie, I feel like there's way too much of this series of this like story for them to just stop.
You know what's funny is actually the.
I'm hoping they do a spinoff eventually.
Well, they're supposed to do some prequels and stuff like that. Apparently, that's what I think I read in another article. But the creator, what's the name?
George R. R. Martin.
So he actually said, "Hey, this could have went on 13, 14 series." So he was all like, "This could have went on longer," but the directors actually wanted to keep it to that 7, and then they made 8. So obviously, there's a lot more. So when he actually comes and distributes the books, there's gonna be a lot more information. So
If
he ever finishes
if
that
he
book,
ever-
he's like, "I'm talking to you,
it's a stare down.
George R. R. Martin. I'm talking to you. Finish your book.
finish your book.
Finish your goddamn
Books.
book. What are you doing right now? Go finish your book."
Yeah.
Stop accepting Emmy awards. And
Stop releasing other books, goddammit.
Is he releasing other books?
Yeah, he's releasing other Game of Thrones books, like little like side stories and whatnot. I'm like, stop it.
Maybe
Fucking
it's
A.
like writer's block or
Fire and
something.
Blood is
He
what
did
the
say
latest thing.
Yeah, he said he has to write a book. He said he doesn't know what to do with the story.
Yeah.
Because weren't we just talking about how he was talking to what's her name from J.K. Rowling?
Oh,
no.
yeah.
To J.K. Rowling about how she could like continuously like write books.
Stephen King.
Oh, Stephen King.
Stephen King.
Stephen King, because Stephen King just constantly comes out.
And they were both sitting on stage and having kind of like a author's discussion in front of an audience.
Oh,
And
that's
he's
cool.
like, I have a question. how the hell do you write so much? And then everyone just started cracking up.
That was funny.
And then Stephen King like just kind of, he didn't bash him, but he just said, you have to just sit down and write.
Yeah.
Like even if it's bad, you sit down and write. And every single day, if your job is a writer, and you do, let's say 8 hours is pretty extensive. So let's say 6 hour days, you sit there in front of the computer, whatever you use to write, and you write for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And you just keep writing. You don't try to erase. You don't try to like, fix anything. You just keep writing, and then you read it at the end and see what you want to keep, what you want to change, what you know what I mean, and what you want to alter.
Which is really smart.
Yeah.
Really smart.
Yeah.
Especially because imagine every single like turn and twist that you can do, or you can have in Game of Thrones. It's like ridiculous. Like the
and
whole.
That's a good point, because really story is as much fluid as when it's being created. Like that's the most like you're gonna get. And you sit there and you write, and then you realize, ooh, I can add a twist there.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, I really like this part. What if I like take this part out and I make it seem like that hasn't happened, and then I can reveal that later. You know what I mean? And that's where you get your ideas. I'm very excited to see where they take this, because I've just come to terms with the fact that we're never going to get the books. And so therefore I have to get them some way.
Yeah.
And it's got to be the TV show, And if like you guys are saying, if they're 2 hour episodes, that's 12 hours of footage. You know what I mean? I was kind of saying, like, why don't they just split that up then? Like, if the episodes are that long, why not just split them up? Why make 6
and do 9 seasons
and do like 9 or something? Yeah. But I guess they have certain parts where they want to cut off.
Maybe they have the contract to where it has to end within a certain time limit.
No, I don't think so. Nothing like that.
No, because their contracts are renewed each year, and so that's why their paychecks keep getting up and up, right? But so I don't think it has anything to do with the contract per se. I think it just has to do with how the creators of the show are trying to create that arc, that last arc of the series, of the season. Yeah, right.
Makes sense.
Because I kind of say, like, why not just make it 9 episodes? Why not just make it 10? But maybe they have within that 2 hours. Maybe they don't want to have a stoppage time. Maybe they want to have it go all the way through and have it be this wild ride from beginning to end of that episode, and then so on and so forth type of thing.
I think I'd rather have this 6 episodes in a more of a length than the 10 episodes, because I don't want it to.
What if there are 6 episodes 1 hour long?
Then I'd be upset. But if they're like 2 hours long or an hour and a half, then I'd be excited about it. But I don't want it stretched out to 10 episodes. Like,
what if, like,
I really got to wait until, like, instead of it being what
if it's like
a month and a half, it'd be 2.5 months for me to actually get the full story.
But what if the first
I'm impatient.
the first scene of the next season is like Arya Stark just killing everybody, and it's just like neck shots for 5 minutes and just kills every single person on her list?
That'd be great.
That'll take a good
episode. You still want the episode to be 2 hours, though?
I still want the episode to be 2 hours.
I do too. And the reason why is because there's so much to wrap up.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, and that's why when I read 6 episodes, like, are you going to be able to wrap up in 6 episodes? I feel like each episode's almost going to be like a finale to the character.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, here's we're going to do this first episode. It's going to be like, these are the characters that aren't going to be in the next episodes. So we're kind of having them say goodbye. Right? We're having a finale for them almost. Because you have to wrap up in each episode. You have to wrap up something, or at least little things that are going to happen, because you can't have that last episode wrap up everything.
Yeah.
Or it's just going to be like, well, there's so much going on here. There's way too much going on here.
Yeah.
You know, that this is way too much. Because they had that flack before in season like 6, when they were like, oh, why go up to the north and make the ice dragon, right? And have Dany save them. And like, it just was like, things are happening so fast for you guys that it needs to be explained better. And I hope that they kind of listen to those, fan suggestions, and they kind of crafted a better script around that. But at the same time, it's like they really have to wrap up everything.
Everything.
But like, it needs to be kind of spread out so we can have our emotions for each of those characters, because we've fallen in love with each of the characters as they are. You know, we don't want to just know Danny's final story or John's final story. We want to know. I want to know Davos's final story. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know Ario's final story. I want to know Tormund's final story. Like, these are characters that it's like they haven't been with us, or they have been with us the whole time. And it's like, you need to wrap them up. You need to give them a proper send-off, because this is the last time we're going to see them. Ever, because we're only going to have prequel stuff.
Yeah.
On to our next topic, our main topic. When does gaming become too much gaming? But before we do that, let's do the beer of the show. The very last beer of the show. It looks like a delicious one.
It is.
Smells like a delicious one.
It smells really good. It is the Stone Chocovesa Mocha Stout. Ale brewed with cocoa, coffee, and spices, and aged in bourbon barrels. This is the batch number 3 from the 2016 series. And it's a small batch, so this is not like something that they carry all the time.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of like, I wouldn't say exclusive, but it's definitely
special.
It's a special one. It's nice. It's 9.6, 31 IBU, so it's not bitter at all. It's actually pretty sweet, if you ask me. It says it's U.S. Pale, Crystal, Black Patent, Coffee Malt, Chocolate Malt, and Flaked Oats. Special ingredient actually has lactose. I'm actually surprised that it has lactose. Lactose, coffee, vanilla, pasilla peppers, nutmeg, cinnamon, and cocoa. So, cheers, guys.
Cheers. I tried it already. It was really good.
Smells really good.
Oh, that's definitely.
That's good.
That's really good.
It's really good.
I don't get the lactose though. Do you
Yeah,
get the
it's
lactose?
slight. Yeah, slight.
It's like barely. I don't feel like I got the lactose.
It's not too much. It's
I
not
like-
overbearing.
I like a lot of lactose.
Really?
When there's lactose in my beer, I want it to be like I wouldn't say predominant flavor, but I want it to be
Creamsicle?
definitely noticeable.
It's a hit or miss with me.
Really?
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's really good. Sometimes just like,
No,
I could do without. It's just too much lactose.
I like that filminess to it. I think it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it really like the last beer had some slight like film to it at the end. I like that. I think that's really good, especially for these.
Yeah.
Especially for like stouts, just because I feel like they're
Mm-hmm.
it really like helps the flavor. If a flavor lingers, I rather have like a nice film versus like a tang at the end.
Is it?
Oh, I did the question. When does gaming become too much gaming?
Apparently, when you get a divorce because of it.
Yeah, that is true.
So number one answer on the board. Survey says
Fortnite.
So this is actually a conversation that was brought up through a meme. The meme I actually sent to Mike through a text.
I saw the
and
meme,
Javi seen it earlier. It's basically Fortnite has been cited in more than 200 divorce proceedings. That's what I saw. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny. And I was like, let me look this up. I want to see if this is actually true. So I actually ended up finding an article and on CNET. And the CNET article actually explains that it's taken off of not the U.S., but the U.K., to where there have been over 200 cited divorces. And they
Like
cite
reasonings.
the reasonings.
Yeah.
And they do blame it on Fortnite, which is crazy to me, but I mean it also makes sense. So it probes the whole idea of how much gaming is too far. Like
Right.
how much is it like too far when it affects this
when it
portion
affects
of your life?
when it starts affecting your relationship with your significant other.
On top of your
What-
work too, you know. Like,
Yeah. So one thing that I wanted to add to that is I feel like it's a topic that hasn't been touched on, but I feel like it's been around for so long that it's just now being brought into light. How long has it been since video games have been out? There has to have been way more cases where video games have been taking over somebody's lives, and whether it's the wife or husband, can't take it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and they're filing for divorce because their significant others on their game console playing nonstop. I mean, this has to go back to like,
I feel like
this
there
has to go
was,
back to like the early 2000s, maybe even before
I feel
that.
like there was something in the early 2000s where Skyrim, there was court divorce reasonings, and they were Skyrim, because that game's so huge and expansive that you can just get lost in it, and that people were just playing Skyrim nonstop, and that there were divorces occurring because of people playing Skyrim for so long or so many, like at times out of the day type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was touched upon back in the 2000s when Skyrim first started coming out. But this is a whole new thing with Fortnite now. In this era, this modern time right now, that's like that is something to cite and actually be like, it's ruining relationships. Like how much is too much gaming when you're actually not focusing on, your significant other or your main priorities in life.
Yeah. I feel like I want to look up statistics on this happening in the U.S. because if that's from the U.K., obviously it has to be from within the last year or so because Fortnite hasn't been out that long. I don't know how long. How long has it been out? Like
it's been
a year, maybe.
Yeah.
So imagine.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't take anything into account for the U.S. So it was
Yeah,
actually saying
and
it
I
could
feel like-
possibly be more.
And I feel like the UK would be a place that would bring it into light versus the United States where almost everyone's a fucking gamer. It's so common because all the systems come from here for the most part. And I feel like it's probably happened for so many like years, for maybe the past 3 decades, that it's not a topic that comes up that often, but it happens so often that it's almost like overlooked. Because I mean, think about it. How many like crazy gamers are out there right now? Thousands.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to be
Thousands.
a crazy gamer anymore.
No.
No.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people who just are addicted to this game or addicted to maybe just playing video games. It's not just Fortnite. It's not just like, what did you say? Elder Scrolls?
Yeah, Skyrim.
Skyrim.
It's also like NBA 2K to where they're playing video games, and that's not necessarily for everybody, but you just have a bunch of people who are just tacking themselves onto whatever obviously sees fit. But how much are people playing to where it obviously becomes excessive? It becomes a video game, addiction.
Right.
What would you say? How many hours in a day would you say? All right, per day. I'm not talking about in one weekend, one Friday night you did an all-nighter. That's completely different. But per day, how much would be too much if you were in a committed relationship, like a marriage? Would be too much. You're already at work for 8 hours a day.
Yep.
You got to sleep at least six hours a day for some people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 14 hours a day. So you got 10 hours left. How much of that is playing video games? And this is excluding like video game time. I mean, like driving time and stuff like that. So how much of that time would be too much, and how much are you actually really spending with your spouse?
I'm assuming like the second you get home, you're not even sitting having dinner with your family. You're just going straight to your, if you have that caveman, that man cave,
Or woman cave.
or woman cave, and just straight playing games.
I think the issue though is the relationships that they're in are
They're
the
probably
significant other isn't a gamer as well.
Yeah.
So there's no understanding that like it's like almost everyone can understand getting into a real good book, right? Like I am just, this book is amazing. I'm so into it, and it's accepted by society. Like, yeah, you're into you stayed up till 1 to read a book. That's crazy. It must have been a really good book. But if I said, oh man, I stayed up till 1 playing Spider-Man, they'd be like, dude, are you serious? That's crazy. That's way too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's that social acceptance to certain things that are okay to be like crazy addicted to. I don't think it's essentially should be positioned as an addiction. I just think it should be something that should be positioned as almost what is labeled as acceptance within that family. Each family could be different. One family could be like, they could be all gamers together and they're all playing different consoles for 6 hours in a day and they're all hanging out together playing whatever game or playing different games at the same time. And that's okay. That's construed as okay for that family. There's like the wife or the husband who is like, you play for 8 hours or you play for 4 hours or you play for 2 hours and that's way too much. 2 hours is way too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the variables in this whole thing are so grand that it's way too hard to even kind of claim it as an addiction and claim it as something that would be construed as like as the issue.
Yeah.
It's really like that individual person and what their thought is on a game. To me, a movie is a story. You go through the movie and you watch the movie for 2 hours. You know what I mean? Well, the game is the same thing. The game is just a story that you can play for 2 hours and you still have another 20-something hours to continue the story and continue playing it. You know, it's how you want to.
To me, that's a difference, because with a video game such as Fortnite, it's really singular play, and you're playing with other people and you're spending your time with that. It's not really kind of like a multiple person. I mean, that's
it's multiplayer. It's all multiplayer.
It's multiplayer, but you'd actually have to have a separate console for everyone. If it was a movie and you had a spouse, you could be like, hey, come watch this movie, and it's something that's more welcoming. You can't compare the two just because one is more of like an individual thing and the other one is more inclusive.
Okay. They could still watch Fortnite. They could still watch you play and like take out people or die a bunch of times.
That's completely different, because I mean,
and I'm more talking on the basis of a video game itself and not just Fortnite. I know they're citing Fortnite, but they also cited Skyrim, and Skyrim has way more story. You know what I mean? And people can sit there and people watch Let's Plays of Skyrim just because the story is so good. They just continually watch different missions that are being played.
But those, I mean, obviously those are people who are more into Skyrim. That you're not going to find someone who's going to randomly search up Skyrim. That's not going to happen. But with movies, it's at least more of an attractive way to kind of just, you're going to sit down, you're going to actually be able to kind of pay attention to that movie. To me, there's a huge difference. Because I can sit and watch. I've sat and watched you play video games, and then I get bored and I walk away. Because it's like, all right, but you're the one like fully immersed into it because you're the one really fully involved. However, I'm not. So I can walk away because it's like, all right, well, that's cool. I'm going to walk away. Whereas with the movie, there's an actual storyline. You know, you go through a whole arc. With games, you could be playing side missions the entire time. And it's like, well, I'm not really getting anything out of this other than watching you complete these side missions.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Because I feel like if you're not invested in it, you're not going to take the time to appreciate what's in front of you.
Right.
So when you're not playing the game, you don't feel invested. You don't feel like you're gaining anything from it.
Yes and no. Well, it depends on the person.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That was my whole premise. It depends on the person.
So this
because the video game story is going to take, let's say, 20 hours, whereas a movie is only going to take 2 hours to tell that story, right? So if you're that type of person that can be invested in a video game and watch your significant other play Spider-Man, right, for 2 hours and be like, oh, yeah, we enjoyed that story together. I enjoyed it too. That's one thing.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying. The investment. Do you really care about what it is that you're watching?
Right.
So if your significant other just so happens to care how you feel or actually care about the game itself, right, and watch it, I feel like, yes, that person can sit down and watch it and appreciate what's happening, even though that person is not playing. But if that person has no interest in it, because obviously, let's be real, for the most part, when it comes to women, even though that number is now increasing tenfold, women are still seeing it as a childish thing. It's a game. It's for children. And like I said, even though it's increasing tenfold, like there's so many women gamers out there. The number is probably a fraction compared to the amount of gamers that are men. And
right.
so when
the games they're probably playing are like Madden or something that's not really story driven.
Yes, and so it's not a story that a woman is going to be it's going to be gravitated to.
Right. Unless they like those particular things.
Unless it's one of those specific games. So like you can have those games obviously where a female will be more invested in because it's more feminine, or it's got more of a feminine touch to it.
Or they just like the story.
Or they just like the story.
Like if they like Spider-Man, they're like, yeah, I totally like you watching, or I like watching you play Spider-Man because I like Spider-Man. I like the comics. I like whatever it is.
Yes, and that's the small percentage of it.
Right.
Yeah. So that goes back to the investment part. Like, yeah, there's gonna be. So I agree with you, and then I agree with you. So I agree with you because yes, there's gonna be plenty of people from both sides, both genders, that are gonna understand. Oh, I like this game. I can sit here and watch you play it, even though I'm not gonna be doing anything. Oh, I'll be commenting. I'll let you know what I see that you didn't see. I'll throw, and they can sit there and watch it and
or
enjoy it.
Or suggest you to go check out that mission or something.
Yeah, and they're enjoying their time watching it.
Right.
Versus, what you said, you can get bored watching it because you're not invested in it. You're like, oh, this is cool. Like it's fun for 5 minutes. I can watch you play, but I'm not getting anything out of this. But at the same time, when you're not invested in it,
but that's the thing is the whole area of topic is obviously spouses not being very happy with people being so invested in it,
right?
And that's what we're talking about.
And yes, and so that goes back to what I was gonna say. It's really about the amount of time that they're taking away from that person because that person needs attention. Yeah, that person has spent their entire day at work and they're exhausted and they want someone to give them affection, and so that is when you're like, oh, well, I want to play this game, but my husband wants to hang out and watch a movie with me, but I really want to play this game right now. And we got to start balancing it out. And obviously, if you get to the point where you're like, oh, well, Tuesdays are going to be my gaming days. And then Tuesday become your gaming days. But then work becomes harder, and then you're working longer hours, and you're seeing your spouse less and less. And then the day that you do get to see them, oh, well, but Tuesday's my gaming day. And then I feel like it's all variable. It's all just how it happens to play out. But for the most part, I think the people that really do get divorced are the ones that have absolute no interest in video games. Because
the others who are doing the video gaming aren't giving enough attention.
Yeah. Yes, and they don't see the problem.
Right. It's excessive. I mean,
and it is excessive.
For you to say it's because of this game, no matter what, that's excessive.
And I think it's actually excessive on both sides.
Yes.
Right.
No. They're extremes. I feel like these are the cases where they're far extremes. It's the person that cares nothing about video games.
I don't get video games. I don't understand them. I don't care about them.
I don't want to play video games. And then the other person is like, I love video games. I want to continue playing video games. Why don't you get that I love video games? Why don't you want to play a video game with me? Right. You have to understand, this person cares nothing about what you're doing at the moment. They want to spend time with you. And so that's when you kind of bring it down back to the middle. Okay, I understand that you don't care anything about this damn video game, but sit here, play with the control, humor me. Like, just play with me for like 5 minutes, and if you don't feel slightly entertained, we'll move on and we'll do something else. And I feel like that's like the meeting point where you can kind of like both of you can kind of like meet in the middle. I mean, even if you want to call that the middle, I don't even think that's even close to the middle, but yeah, it's definitely like the extremes, like you're saying. I feel like it's the person that just doesn't care, and then the other person that just doesn't understand that the other person doesn't care. Right. Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's an extreme for one person to be like, hey, Monday through Sunday, you're literally playing 4 or 5 hours of video games every day. I don't think that's a person who is going to be extreme. It's like literally you are completely ignoring this whole relationship and choosing a game over this relationship. For them to actually cite that it's a video game, that's where it's becoming more evident that, like, hey, literally this game is the thing that's driving us apart.
Yeah.
But you don't want to see it that it's doing that.
I mean,
that's what it is. That's really what it is. Is literally this game is taking up the majority of your time.
Yeah.
And it's putting us away. And I'm sure, because there's arguments that are going to be bound to be happening. Like, hey, I need you to spend more time. And that's not necessarily a positive communication, but it's being communicated. Yeah. It's just the fact that they are literally disregarding that and continuing in this whole, habit of playing video games 4 or 5 hours a day, probably disregarding anything that they really need to do around the house, to where it's going to really become upsetting and an annoyance and a deterrent from wanting to be with that person.
Which
is an extreme. It's playing video games every day is not a bad thing.
It's a one-sided extreme where the other person doesn't care that they play video games. It's the fact that they're ignoring all their
every aspect to it.
Every aspect of every other aspect of their lives. Like they're coming home and ignoring their kids. They're ignoring their wife. They're not doing chores. Right. They're not spending time with their family. They're not showing up to family events, like that type of thing. To where the spouse is taking their time, understanding what they're doing, giving them space, and then they still what's the word? They're still overdoing it. They're taking advantage of the situation, and they're continuously playing to the point where the spouse is fed up. And I'm sure there's, like you said, they're probably having arguments. They're probably that person's probably bringing it up and saying, "Hey, I get that you like this game. Put it down for a couple hours and hang out with your family." Once you start ignoring your kids, I think.
Or once you start ignoring your wife.
Your wife is. I feel like one thing.
Or husband.
I feel like once you start ignoring the kids, I think that's when the divorce starts really happening. Because I feel like there's so many like divorces that happen because of the spouse is ignoring their significant other, but a lot of times they just don't split up. And there obviously there's a billion of things that could happen, but I feel like once the kids are no longer seeing that person in their life, I feel like the significant other is gonna make a change, and they're gonna say, you know what, if you don't change your ways, if you don't start seeing your kids, then we're splitting up. Obviously there's probably cases where it's just the wife or husband, but I feel like the kids. We should probably look up the actual numbers, the statistics, but I feel like kids. If you start ignoring your kids for a video game, then you're kind of screwed. Then you're digging your own grave.
I think there could be so many preventative measures before you actually get
there.
To that point.
There's a billion. There's literally a billion.
How
and 999 million of those are probably the exact same. Stop playing for a little bit and hang out with your family.
Yeah. Definitely.
Which is kind of crazy. That Fortnite. I've played Fortnite, and I don't think that's that good. I really don't think it's that good.
It reminds me like a PUBG mixed with Minecraft.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's right. I've never played it, so
yeah. Because you can build your own little
and
forts,
stuff like that.
And then on top of that, then you take out people, and as things get Battle Royale at least, the map gets smaller and smaller, and forces you to actually leave certain areas or like get deeper into the map to be the last person standing type of thing.
Yeah.
But those are short games. They're not like they're super long games, so it's not like they can't just be like, hey, I'm going to play 2 games. Okay, now I'm done with these 2 games. I'm going to go hang out with them, and I'll come back and play a few more games. You know what I mean? Like, I can understand. I can't really understand, but being invested in, like, something like God of War, which is very story-driven, and, like, you can just, like, you're like in a really good book, you get swept away. And you're like, wow, this is so good, and you just keep going because it's all story, and it just unravels as you're playing. You know what I mean? Whereas Fortnite's just something like, you have this 10-minute battle royale type of thing, and then you play the next game. You move on to the next one. So it's interesting. It's a great topic to talk about. I think we all have particular views on where we kind of stand on it. You know what I mean? And I think we all kind of agree in some aspects. You know what I mean? We all have different variables on that agreement, but at least we all kind of agree that it's more just listen and just understand the other person. You know what I mean? And if anything, try to help them understand your side of what you're seeing and the greatness of the game that you think that is so good. You know what I mean? Or break them into like small little video games that you think they would like, and then kind of show them like this is something that you can really get into, like it just like a book or a movie or a TV show. You know. But let us know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Just right down there, leave a like or comment below and let us know what you think. I hope you enjoyed. We have our delicious beers. We're going to finish them up here. And thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. Have a great day.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.